Hi, I'm Tim from Tower Systems. Today I thought I'd do a short video on the features within Retailer for managing multiple locations, what we refer to as multi-store. So on your main screen here, or firstly let me start by saying ultimately you have the same facilities that are in all of our single store demonstrations, except for when you have multiple locations, we enable the multi-store tools, which allow you to treat multiple locations as separate locations for firstly managing what inventory each location holds. They can manage their own customer database, or you can manage that centrally. And stock, you can also manage pricing centrally, or you can have individual store pricing. And a lot of that kind of ties back to the rules within multi-store. So if I click down the bottom here, this opens up my multi-store selection panel down the bottom. Now you can customize this so you have a different colored banding per store, because what we find some users want to do is they want to be able to very easily move between locations. So that way, if you're running reporting, if you're receiving stock, it's going to treat it as the location you're at, but also give you the option of looking at all or other locations. So it's just kind of the default for what store you're working out of. So at the moment, my banding down the bottom here is blue, so that refers to my bike store one. Now to get into my rules for multi-store, this can be password protected. I've got mine open and I can simply click here and it brings up all of my stores. I can see their details there. I can also click through these options here. So I've got store rules, and here's where you can configure that information. So you can set things like what happens when stock is transferred from one location to the other in terms of pricing. Will you transfer it at cost price, sell price, or a percentage thereof? You can also set it so it does that and creates an invoice, or if it simply just moves stock between the locations. You can also set whether it recalculates the retail price, and you've got a bunch of other options down the bottom here. One that's very important is automatically accept invoices when stock's transferred. So what that means is if I jumped in and I transferred 5 of these pens from store A to store B, it can either automatically accept them into store B's quantity on hand, or they can sit in a pending state. So that way, if you want to be able to see what's in transit at any point, you can track that information in the system as well. But then we have other businesses where they're very quickly moving stock from one store to the other. Maybe they're right next door or they're in very close proximity. You can set it to simply receive that stock in automatically. And you can also flag what it does with pricing labels, whether it prints them at the store it's received at, or if it's printed at the store that the stock is allocated to. While I'm in here, I can also view all of my terminals and I can see what stores they're associated with. And again, I can very easily move those around by dragging and dropping them. I've also got store allocations in here. So you can set when you receive stock, what percentage of it is defaulting to go to what store. And I'll show you how that looks in a second. So in here, you've got all of those settings for that kind of information. I can also click into store stock transfers, and this will show me any orders that are pending for this location. Now I've got mine set to automatically receive stock when I transfer it, so that's why I don't have anything in this list. When it comes to receiving stock into your system, really easy, you can get to it through point of sale, or I can go stock and invoice arrivals. Again, exactly the same as single store. I choose my supplier, so I've got one in my system called Supplier X. I'm just going to make up an invoice number, and I conveniently got one exactly the same, so let's try that again. Supplier X, and let's put my invoice number in. Let's go, that'll do. I can put my dates in there, so when I received it, what the invoice date was and when it's due. Again, all the same settings. I'm just going to toggle through a few of those. Get to my PLU. I've got a product in my system, a Garmin heart rate monitor, so I'm just going to put its code in. It's recognized that automatically, and I'm just going to tell the system that I'm getting 10 of those into stock. I'm going to leave my cost and sell price the same, and I then bring those into stock. What that does is it brings up a list and shows me my allocations per store, so I can see how many I'm allocating to each location, and I can go through and manipulate these. So I've got store 2 there, I've got my web store, maybe that's where I hold most of my stock for e-commerce orders, and that's my warehouse as well. But maybe for whatever reason I want to reduce that and I want to keep an extra one for this store, I can do that. Or maybe I want to put another one against that location. So you can move those quantities around. If there's any customer orders for those at any of those locations, it'll also flag that for you at that stage. So I've now received that into stock, and I can simply close out of that, and that will then receive that into and move that around into the other store's quantity on hand as well. So it's just doing that process as it pops up on the screen. So you can, when you receive stock in, very easy to do that. You can also do product lookups on stock. So from any of your stores, you can come in here and I can put its code in, or I could scan it, or I could search for it based on a keyword. But I know its code, so I'm just going to keep this quick and easy. So I'll look up my Garmin heart rate monitor. That grabs all of its history at that stage for me. And down the bottom here, I can see every time I've received it in, what quantity I normally get. I've transferred 48 today, so we've been playing around with it a bit before this. I've got 7 on hand at this location. I haven't got any on any orders. Down along the bottom here, I can also see whether there's any other orders for customers at other stores. And I can see what the quantity on hand is at other stores as well. So I can come in here and I can see, hang on, my web store's got, or my warehouse, which is my web store, has 29. I can actually click on that and I can request stock from them through this screen as well. So I might request 5, put my initials in so it notes to them what staff is requesting it. That would then give them a little pop-up at the top of their screen to show that there's a multi-store order that's been requested. That store can then click on that order to fulfill it. When it comes to price changes and things like that, you can do all of that through the stock screen, obviously, and that will give the option of doing it for all stores or just that store. With reporting across the top here, I've got all of my reports. Any of them with a dot against them, they are multi-store reports. So if I came in to run a, let's do monthly sales comparison, I can compare my 2 trading periods. Again, same as single store, but as soon as I go to preview on that, it's going to give me this option to choose what stores I want to look at. So as it is, I've got all stores selected, but if I just wanted, say, store 2 and store 3, I can simply select the stores I'm after there. I'm just going to choose those 2. That'll run and get that data, and I'll let that run through. It shouldn't take a second. Yep, and I'll just close out of that. So yeah, really, really easy to run those reports. When it comes to things like customer statements, they can all be done out of the one location. So if I jump back into my rules there, you've also got options in here under store rules, or it might be general rules. Yep. So under general rules, you can flag which is the main location that's going to be running the statement process. And then I can select that from the screen. With managing inter-store transfers, if I did want to move stock from one location to the other, certainly you can do it through the request stock screen if one store is requesting it. But if I was at this particular bike store and I wanted to move another 3 of those Garmin heart rate monitors to store B, I can come in, do that through my point of sale, and really easy. You simply jump into your point of sale screen. I'll bring that one up. Yep, and I can add the product to my sale, so I could either scan it, again, select it by a keyword, or I know its code, which is Garmin. So I'm just going to add that to the sale. I can change my quantity by clicking it there. I'll make it 3, and that will update that on my screen there. So I've got 3 of those, and I simply do it the same way you'd invoice a customer. So select customer. When you jump in here, your multi-store locations will all be listed at the top there. So if I wanted to transfer these to, say, store 4, I can select that. And now it's an inter-store transfer to store 4, and I can finalize that. You can have that set to print off a transfer docket. So that might be an invoice that has those products on it. It can email a copy through to them. I've got mine set to do a docket style, but that can be A4 if you prefer. And I've also got that set to preview it, but you can have that set just to print out, so it doesn't give you that extra click. And at their location, they would then get a little notification at the top here to say there's an inter-store transfer on its way. So yeah, multi-store tools, really, really easy to manage that sort of stuff. If you've got any questions on that, by all means, reach out to either Justin or myself, and we'd be more than happy to help with that. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.